starts probably haven't been great. I think you're fourth in the league and most goals allowed in the first period. Is that a collective thing? Is that a not ready to play thing? How do you figure that out?
You know what? I'm not even. It's not even on my mind as far as what the stat is. I think at this time of year, with 8 left and the situation we're in, our start better be there. Yeah. I don't care what stats you throw at me right now. To me, this is a little mini season for us. Now that we're out of the picture and trying to climb back in, we need to not only have a good start against a very hard-working team here, but we need to be ready to play right on through.
John, how was dinner last night? Was that something that you guys needed to do? Do you think just kind of like a little team bonding thing?
Yeah, that'll stay with me. I'm not going to give you the information on what we do in the evenings, and I give you enough of what we do during the day.
Not even what you ate?
No, nothing.
Vacation?
Nothing.
Fortes?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Sergei Bobrovsky's status for tonight?
Which Bob's? He's in.
He is.
Yeah,
okay.
he's in.
You go back to 2010 in New York, and you guys ran the table right down the wire just to get into that last game. I know it's not the memory you want, but can you draw off, as a coach, those moments to keep your team in it and keep them believing they're in it?
Yeah. Well, we still believe we're in it. I don't think we need to go back there and draw off of anything. I think our team feels it's a good team. You know, like I've talked to our guys yesterday. Other than that Edmonton game, where we just were a dog's breakfast, quite honestly, right on through, we have played some good hockey. But now, as a coach always talks about, and I do believe it, I've got to coach a team as you go through the process and how you're playing, and not always get locked into the results as you're coaching your team through the year. Not anymore, not with only 8 games left. We have to find a way to get results. So I thought we had a really good day of before practice, what we did during practice and after practice. We should be rested, and hopefully we get going right away and get on the attack here.
I know you guys haven't had a lot of power plays the last couple of weeks. Do you feel your team's doing enough to draw power plays, and are you hopeful you'll be able to see more man advantages down the stretch?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the stat is through the league. I think it's kind of a league-wide thing where there's just not a lot of power plays. Again, I am not. I know the numbers and this, that, the other thing are out there. Some are good for us, some are bad. We are not concentrating on numbers at all. We're concentrating on this game. Try to be the best we can be on our power play, 5-on-5 play, whatever it comes our way. Try to get everybody involved to try to get the right result here. And with players, as a coach, when you think you're playing well, you try to keep them up, even though some of the time we didn't get results. Like, let's say the Calgary game early on this trip. They've got to feel a result here to try to not let their confidence waver here, because I think it could go either way if we don't start getting results. And so we need to find a way to just play with confidence, release ourselves and play, and keep our game simple and just get on the attack.
It's not unusual for a line to struggle, John, when all 3 guys on your top line haven't scored in a while. Is there a tendency to break them up, or you figure, you know what, I just got to keep putting them out there because there's way too much potential there?
Yeah, and it's been a big part of our success throughout the year. Yeah, we have broken them up. We've done a lot of different things, but I'm putting them together tonight, and I do think, especially in the Calgary game, prior to the Edmonton game, I thought they had a lot of good chances, a lot of good looks, a lot of zone time, but again, no results. So we're going to put them together, and really, we don't go anywhere at all here for the remaining 8 games if we don't get that line going.
It's been like kind of a puzzle since the trade deadline. I mean, you kept your UFAs, you acquired some good UFAs, yet here we are, and below 500 since the deadline. Is it like a Rubik's Cube trying to figure this thing out?
You're trying to. I have my thoughts as far as some things. I know one thing when you're dealing with some guys that aren't used to being put under a microscope and said you're supposed to win now. When we had some really good additions. I think that changes a little bit with expectations, playing under different expectations. I think that's affected some guys. I think the biggest thing right now is we need to and this is kind of what we've talked about here the last couple of days in between Edmonton and Calgary, is not overthink anything. Stop trying to answer that question. Don't overload your mind with a bunch of thinking and numbers that people throw at me all the time as far as some of the problems we've had as a team. Let's worry about playing Vancouver. Keep our game simple and just go play. I really do. We think we need to have a bit of a shinny hockey mentality of just simplify everything, advance the puck, and let's go play the game.
You expect young players to maybe struggle this time of year. Are you a little surprised at some of your veteran contingent? I mean, I know there's pressure, John, but when the numbers aren't there and this time of year, are you a little surprised that you're not being led better by?
Yeah, well, I'm not so sure it's not leading. I think when guys who are used to putting up numbers aren't putting up numbers, because I think we have some really good people there, and when you care and you're not putting up the numbers that you know will help this team, I think you start adding more pressure to yourself. And again, we're trying to really clean the slate here and play this game, see if we can find a way to get some points, and then you're right back into a situation when you're looking at it. And so good players, leaders of teams, always expect more out of themselves to lead, and when they're not getting those results, it certainly tends to bog them down sometimes because they just feel it.
Your interaction with players is legendary. Ken Hitchcock, and when he went back to Edmonton, Johnny said, you know, the thing with younger players today, you can tell them what you want them to do, but at the end of that conversation, the younger players in today's game say to you, well, what's in it for me? Is it different coaching younger players today, John?
Well, I'm not so sure I agree with Hitch in that. When I look at younger players, I do, and we've got a good group of them. That's one thing we have great in our league. I think the athletes are just really good people. I think they've been brought up the right way, and I think they're really good people. They want to learn. I think and it's one of the most enjoyable parts of my job is, and we've been a pretty young team here for a number of years now. I enjoy being around them, and I think they want to learn. And the biggest thing I try to stress with the young players is I want some information too. Don't be afraid to talk to me about some things that you may see that may help you, because all we want to do as coaches is help.
Because they're so savvy today. I mean, the young players, they've been in international competitions, but they come into the league, they're not in awe, they're ready to go. Yeah,
you'd be surprised. Young players, old players, you say they're not in awe. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think there are, when there's pressure and there's situations that come into play, these guys are human beings too. And they're looking for help. The biggest thing for me, especially with today's athlete, I think it needs to be a two-way street. It's not coaching players by coaching at them. I think it's coaching with them. I think that's very important, whether it be a young player or a veteran player, because it is a different type athlete. And quite honestly, it's not really about X's and O's. It's about getting at the end of the rope and pulling the rope at the same time with everybody else.
What does it mean to you, John, when former
You
players...
running this press conference here? Yeah.
You always said you'd have time for me, remember when you left?
Yeah, I was leaving, so I lied, yes.
What does it mean to you when former players like Mott and Tanev have gone out of the way to say what they learned from you and they really enjoyed the experience, it was very respectful, it was demanding, but they're better players for it? What does that mean to you, to your former players like that?
Yeah, I think, and if any coach doesn't say this, well, for me, I think in my style, sometimes it may take a few years down the road where they may say, you know what, you were right there. And listen, those two guys there, Motter and Tans, I mean, I enjoyed coaching them. I think they go through the wall for their team, and they wanted to learn. And there are times when it gets into some conflict at certain times, but I think that's coaching. It's never a personal thing. I think everybody wants to think it is personal when there's some emotion involved in it. But for me, it's nice to hear. A coach doesn't get much feedback, quite honestly, unless the GM comes in and says, you're out of here. That's the feedback coaches usually get. When you hear it from the real people, the guys that are in the trenches with you, and they have some nice things to say, of course I enjoy hearing that. I'm a human being, and those are two good people.
One last one from me, okay? Hitch was holding court in Edmonton the other day. There's lots of pressure on him.
I can imagine.
Just like you.
Yeah.
He lives across the river.
Yeah.
He was asked how long he wanted to coach. He said till 90, and he's got 7 years on you.
Yeah.
I know there's tremendous pressure on you, John, to get this team to the postseason, but do you see yourself as, until they actually, like a player, you take the stick out of his hand, as the coach, you take the whatever, a tablet out of my
Yeah.
hand. I'm not going anywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
are you invested forever? Or?
Well, I'm never going to say I'm not going anywhere. I love coaching. And just what we're talking about here, Ben, it's turned into such a young league.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I like being around is I like the teaching part of it. And I stress to you, the X's and O's of this game, I think, is a minor thing. I think the biggest thing that coaches are coaching, at least what my belief is coaching the mind. And how to get players to play with confidence, how to get players to play with grit at certain times in situations in the season. So I love being around it. I think one of the greatest jobs in the world, and they get paid squad, or school teachers. I think I am a school teacher. It's just in a different setting. It's in a locker room. My daughter's a school teacher. We talk about this all the time as far as trying to make a difference and making people understand how to be the best they can be. And so I love being around it. Until they say we've had enough of you, I'm going to try to do the best I can.
John, on that topic, leadership that you've gotten from other guys, especially in Nick's absence over this last 3 or 4 days, how impressed have you been with guys who've stepped up in that role?
Yeah, we had a good day yesterday, and talking about mindset as far as where we're at right now. Haven't even talked about the Edmonton game. Does us no good. We move forward right away. I do. I think the group, and not just the guys wearing the letters, but I think everybody in that room has accepted, and I think it's the biggest thing we have to cross here now with a couple weeks left, accept the pressure and try to enjoy being in it. That's a lot of our conversation. It should not be a task of, man, this is hard. This is where you should want to be. We're still in the hunt here. We're still right in the middle of things here. And I think that's the biggest thing that I think our guys are trying to help one another with.
You guys have gone through a little bumpy stretch here. How important is it now to be, and bonding sounds like a cliche, but to pull together here over these remaining 8 and play as a team?
It's very important. I think that's the biggest point we got to do. To get out of it, we're going to need everyone to pull their weight and come together, and that's the only way we're going to do it is together. So I think we had a good couple of days here in Vancouver, and we're looking forward to getting out there tonight.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. You've had opportunities to do things like I was just talking with Cam about. Go away from the rink, have a practice yesterday. How helpful was that?
Yeah, it was great. I think we've had 2 days here, one off, and guys got to go around the city and check out some whatever around the city, and then we had a good practice day yesterday. I think where we had some good talks, and like I said, we feel good about where we're at, and getting back at it tonight.
I'm going to throw another cliche at you, Boone, but your backs are against the wall. You got to come out and fight, right? And that's how valuable is that mentality right now?
Yeah, and I think we got to embrace that a little bit more. I think it's playoff hockey for us right now. The last couple of games, I don't think we've had that bite that you have to have in the playoffs. So I think we kind of talked about that yesterday, and if we want to get in here, we got to embrace that and start playing the playoff hockey.